Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Welcome to another chapter. Working on that guy right there. That is our Ferrari F50. That's a model by Tamiya 1/24th scale. All right, we're going to run the intro. And we'll see what's next. Okay, so we're back, guys. We're back, and we're going to continue on this. Last time we put some decals on and really didn't do much. We got the engine compartment painted black. We got airplanes taken off in the background while I'm trying to talk to you guys. We'll just give it a minute. Got our engine compartment painted. We put the decals on over the rear fender wells. Those really ugly looking brown colored Tamiya decals. What I did is after they got laid down, even after using multiple coats of the Mark Fit Super Strong, they still came out kind of wrinkled. Trying to get over the curves of these fenders, they still were a bit wrinkly. So what I did is I took one of my sanding sponges, took my 1000 grit sanding sponge, and I just sanded down the wrinkles and smoothed them out a little bit. That left some little bit of white marks on them, but that's okay because it was too brown, just too brown. So I decided to take my Tamiya black panel liner and I painted over the whole decals and made them a little bit more blacker. I'll change the camera and you can have a look, okay? So this is what we got going on now. They're a little, you can still see there is that little brown color, but it's not nearly as brown as what they originally were like. That's what they looked like in comparison. And so now we've got that much darker, more subtle brown color. After I did that, after I put the panel liner on there, I masked off a little bit areas and I just shot a little bit of Tamiya clear over it to give it that nice glossy look that it's supposed to have. And that's what we got going on. Okay, so that's where we're at. So I think today we're going to get the engine installed. That's what I'm hoping for. All right, let's refer to our instructions. I'll change the camera back and we can have a look what is next. Okay, so we're in step number 10 here. We put our little side vents or intakes on. That's all done, okay? And we put our decals in. And so the next step in this would be to put our windshield in with our rear view mirror. I believe I already have my rear view mirror installed on my windshield. Yes. So our rear view mirror is already installed. I've already got the black painted outline, and I even got the windshield wiper already installed on there. And I seem to have some dust on my glass. So we got to make sure our window is nice and clean. So I'll just take a little cloth here, carefully give it a little wipe. Ferraris deserve clean glass. Okay, speaking of glass, I need to put more proper glass on my face. All right. So flip this over. We'll put this in the orientation of the diagram. And we have two little holes here that these are going to line up on. And that's going to align our windshield. Okay, but I gotta have this sitting up high enough that I actually can get that in there. She doesn't really want to. There we go. It's a tight fit. There's actually a couple little pegs on each side that this lines up on, which to me tells me those are glue points. Thank you very much. And that's how she's going to sit in like that. It is interesting, I've got a little notch taken out here. You guys see that? There's a little notch in my hood. I thought that would be for the windshield wiper, but I guess not. That's interesting. Yeah, weird. Okay, whatever. So I think we can safely put some glue. Put some glue here and here and here, and get our windshield glued down. Let's just put that there. How do you want to sit? You just don't want to cooperate. How about we do this? There we go. Okay. Tamiya extra thin is always my go-to with this kind of stuff. Now, I know there are guys out there that really dread the glue application point of windshields, and that can be it can be a very scary thing to finally get to the glue stage. Of course, when it does things like that, like pop up. This windshield, though, because it has these big tabs that stick out, to me has really gone the extra mile in helping you out. In making sure that your windshield is going to be free from possible glue leakage, which looks pretty good. All right, so that is that. The car has a windshield. Let's just move these over here a little bit. And I'll let that glue sit before I play around with it very much more. The next step, of course, is the engine. They say to install the engine first, and then we do our little air conditioner and oil coolers. So I get those while I'm letting my windshield dry just a little bit before we get the engine. I'm going to grab these off the sprues, my air conditioner and oil cooler. I have to find my sprue. Where are they? I think it's here. Yes. That's these guys here, already painted and assembled. They are done. They're ready to go in. They do show assembly down here. It's just you put your flat pieces 8, 9, and 8, 10 onto those backs, and I've already done that. That's already completed. Okay. So that's 35. That's this guy, and then 36. That's this guy. Just about done with this sprue. I'm just going to take a look real quick. I believe my sprue is almost done. I only got these last two pieces, so I'm just going to do this and do this, and there we go. Last two pieces. I'll chop that up and throw away later. All right, so got a couple little nubs on these that need to be cleaned up. And if I'm doing my due diligence, I should... These might be molded in black anyway. Yeah. So I don't have to worry about that too much. All right. So that's those. Okay. So if you're like me and you get these confused because they look very similar, the one that has these little notches in it along the side here, see those? So there's little notches there. Okay. That is the A36, and they show them in the picture there. So if you get these mixed up somehow, that's how you know, okay? Which is what I'm going to do, is I'm going to get them mixed up. I think my windshield might be okay for me to survive putting the engine in. Remember, the engine is goes in a really funny way. You guys saw me take it out last time, and she goes in literally like this, right? And it's a little tricky to get these little arms in there and everything like that to fit and all that fun stuff. It is a little bit of a challenge because you start off with the engine upside down and you kind of put it through like this in here, get one side kind of in, get it like this. I'm getting better as the amount of times that I have to do that I've done this. I am getting a little better at it, but still, it is still tricky. So I don't want to force anything. I don't want to put too much pressure on anything. But I do find our little, these things here and here, these little guys that stick up there, these two guys, I do find those kind of hinder me a little bit in my endeavor to get this in. Now that I've got the back all painted nice, I don't want to scratch it all up. You know, I've had the engine in twice now, and it's still, I'm scared to force anything. Slowly, we're getting it. There we go. Now the tricky part is getting your exhaust tips to go in there so that you can sort of slide the engine forward a little bit and get it to come in. And then once your exhaust is down to a point where you're close, you got to bring it back because these arms need to go on in here and here. And you have this little tab of your firewall. Okay, your firewall there. It's hard to see because it's black. It doesn't actually go into the channel. It goes a little bit back further. So all these little things need to line up and be nice and happy. There, my exhaust went in nicely. I think I'm just about there. Yes, I am. I'm right there. Right there, right there. Actually, the top of my firewall really... I mean, fortunately, this has a cover that goes over top, so we don't have to worry about it. But if it didn't have it, I'd want to paint that little bar right there and make that black to match. But I believe we are where we need to be. And I was totally wrong about the arms going into these channels. I was totally wrong about that. They just go down below. That's all they do. So I think it's time to put some glue in. And I just realized that tab is supposed to actually go up into that slot. There we go. So the tab that's at the top of our firewall actually goes into that hole and sticks up just a little bit. You guys see that there? Oh, it's actually sticking out through that hole right here. So that's where it lines up. My exhaust tips, I'm not super happy with that. I'm tempted to break this one off and get that lined up so that they're the same. I am tempted to do that, but at the same time, I'm not. It's kind of good enough. I could just break them off and just reapply the glue. I don't know. I'll figure that out later. But I am going to apply some glue onto our engine. Just trying to see where else this thing actually touches and mounts up at the back here. It doesn't seem to be touching, like our suspension isn't touching the wheel wells at all. It literally is. The only thing touching back here is our exhaust pipe and our two arms back here and here on the frame, on the body. And even then, they're not actually touching. Oh, you're touching back here on the rear bumper. We're in two little slots there. So there we go. So we have our big tab here and we've got our two little arms here and here. All right. What I want to do is I want to hold this down somehow. I think maybe I'll put a weight on here and we'll do that. Let's get some glue here. I want to glue this from the underside and go all the way along that bar. If I can hold it, there we go. I want to get in here. This, of course, is not going to be seen by anybody, so I'm happy with that. There we go. And just for added measure, across the top here. And then our little bars here. And here. There we go. Now, to hold this all in place, like it needs to be, I want to put some weight on it, but I don't want to put it on the windshield. I want my windshield to stay down. So it needs to be held nicely. And I kind of want, there's a little knob right here that the firewall, I had glued against there, but you know, my playing around with it, the glue came loose. So it broke loose on me. So just to hold that there. So I just want to kind of hold it. Yeah. Let's grab this. We'll put here like this, and then this on the nose. I don't want it on the engine, and I don't want it on the windshield. Maybe on the fenders. I'll move this. This is kind of the balancing game. There we go. On the fenders, that's going to make it nice and... Oh, there we go. And then I can do this. And we play the balancing game. Okay, I'm going to leave this for a few minutes anyway. And, okay, now that I've got that done and my car is kind of balanced in the air like this, I want to leave this for a few minutes. And so I'm going to leave this for maybe 5 minutes or so, let that glue do its thing. And then we'll come back in a little bit, okay? So we'll be back in a little bit.
Moments later.
Okay, so it's been you know, 5 or 10 minutes or something in there, something like that. So we're going to have a look and see if this is holding. And let's just do a little check here. I take my fingers off. Bing. She's holding. Okay, good. So I'm happy with that. I'll just let that sit. I'll change the camera and we'll see what the next step is. So next step, I guess we're going to install our little guys here. We'll put in our little coolers, our air conditioning, and our oil cooler. So we'll go with the oil cooler first since it's on this side. And it looks like you want the fan to be facing the engine. So it's going to go like this, with this part towards the inside of the car. And they want it kind of lined up onto this little notch here. Maybe in hindsight, I should have done this first, installed these first, because now I've got to be careful about my placement into the engine, getting in here. And how that's going to sit on there. It doesn't really feel like there's a definitive notch for it to fit in. Almost like it just kind of sits there. Put it like this, turn this around. There isn't. There isn't any specific notch that it sits on. It just kind of sits there. It just kind of sits on there, and that's all it does. It just kind of sit on there all on its own. So let's put some glue on there. Get my paints out of the way here. Apply some glue to that edge. And there. And then, can we get any from the top? It's kind of hard to... It's a little difficult to reach from the top. I almost want to let this glue dry a little bit here before I go tackle it from the top. So we're going to do this side. This is the exact same thing. So it kind of does actually have this little bit of a lip right here to let it kind of sit down. And kind of sit in its place, kind of like that. So they sits in there like that. Okay, and then we got the other side already glued in. So it sits in there like that. So let's see if I can get it at the top. I don't want to rely only on the glue there. That one just fell out, that's fine. I want to get some glue in on the top of it here. You little bad boy, go back. Okay, we're just gonna let that sit for a minute. I can't put my car on its windshield. So we'll let that sit. Give that a minute or so for the glue to dry. Next step, looks like we're gonna do our dashboard and steering wheel assembly. That can go in on our windshield. I have that on a clip sitting over here waiting patiently to get installed. You guys have seen this a couple of times now already. These little notches in the front of their dashboard are going to go into these little pegs on our windshield. Diddle-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo-doo, diddle-doo-doo-doo. Okay, so can my big fat fingers fit in here? That was a lot of F's. And that's it, it just sits there like that. So I'm going to do that angle like that, so she don't want to slide down. Capillary action over those two spots, and we'll try and get that dashboard to just kind of sit there for a minute. I'm going to go these little corners also. Let that sit for a minute. I kind of want the car to sit this kind of an angle for a minute while the glue dries. So let it sit on its fenders, rear fenders for a sec. I actually want to push on that dash. There we go. Okay. I want to give it a minute now to let the dash hold in place before I try and flip it over and get to the top of our air conditioner here. Okay. So while I'm waiting for that, we're going to grab our insides of our headlights. Now these come off the D tree and they want us to paint them X11 chrome. But let me find my D. That's the C. C is chrome, so where's D? If it is, I wouldn't know because I can't find it. So D3 and 4, that is these two guys. So they want us to paint the back of them chrome. I can do that. So let's paint these up. Close up the glue a little bit. And apply a little bit of paint on here. Now they say X11 chrome, but I find the LP48 to be a much shinier, chromier chrome. I'm going to paint the back of them. Even though this isn't really chrome. It's just silver, but it's very silvery silver. There we go. So those are painted silver now. Now, I could have installed them first and then painted them after. And it won't really make that any difference because I painted the back of them. So even if I get glue on it and I need to reapply the chrome, that's not a problem. Okay, so while that paint is drying, we're going to flip this over. We're going to put the glue on the top of our little air conditioner. My dashboard's been sitting long enough. It should sit by all on its own. I want to apply a little glue on the top of this here, where it's touching, or where it should be touching. There we go. Okay, there's that. Dashboard seems to be holding fine. That's good. So you get a little glimpse of what our interior is going to sort of look like. Got a dash in there. I think we can put her down like this. Okay. Tamiya paint being the way it is, this is already dry to the touch. Let's get those off here. I'm going to move the body over here. Get these off of the sprue. This is number 3. And this is number 4. Okay, there we go. Put this aside. So, number 3 goes on to this side here. Okay. A couple of little tabs makes alignment pretty easy on this. So capillary action of the glue makes it fairly easy, but if you do put too much, you can have glue run out the front. You don't really want to do that, right? Get this one put in. Give a little push to make sure she's in her little holes. If you do wind up getting glue on your paint, just let it sit, let it dry, and you can always reapply your paint afterwards. It's not going to be any detriment. There we go. So our headlight lenses are in, and that's kind of what they look like from the front. Just like that. All right. And so they're showing the position of the engine here to make sure how you have everything marked up with the exhaust tips going out the ports. And yeah, that's really all they're showing. Note exhaust position. Yeah, we already know that. Exhaust has to go out the holes. That's an important thing. Your exhaust needs to go out the holes. And it looks like that is it for step number 10 and 11. It looks like that's all we got going on for those. So we could flip our page and look at step number 12. Step number 12 is putting on the top of our intake manifold and putting on our little cap that whatever this cap is that goes onto that. So let's get C1, that's chrome. It's our last chrome piece, C number 1. And we got to get our guy here, that's A18. I already have that all done up. I showed you guys last time. This is all done up. I just got to put the cap on. It goes right on that piece there. So let's get these guys out of the way. And let's get this little cap off of here. There we go. And that is the last chrome piece. So this cap's going to go onto here, but we've got to get rid of the chrome. I know so far we've been doing pretty good. I'm going to move the body out of the way just for a sec here. We've been doing pretty good with the fact that, like with the exhaust, even though I didn't really scrape the chrome away, the glue still held pretty good. But I'm just, for preemptive things, we're going to put that on. She's going to go down onto the top of that, onto here, like so. Okay. So get my glue ready, get my cap ready. And there we go. Cap is installed. All right, so now this is going to go on our intake. We've got our 4 holes here that all line up with our little pegs on top of our intake. This will be the first time I put it on in the car. And then, of course, this guy lines up with that big peg right there on the engine. And that goes like this. These little boxes don't line up. They don't go onto anything, so it's all just a matter of lining it up on there. So because of that, I'm going to use this glue instead. And we're going to fill our holes with it. That and like that. Push down just a little bit. There we go. I'm actually going to grab it by the underneath the engine and give that a push. Good contact there. There we go. And that is that. Ta-da. And that is it for step number 12. Of course, number 12, they show you how to paint all that, which obviously I've already done all the painting, including applying the little chrome Ferrari emblem and the F50 logo that goes on the top there like this, right? That's all that. All our paint call outs. That's already done. Okay. So, step number 13, they want us to paint this black, which obviously I already did, and put the chassis onto the body. That's a big step. I did kind of test fit this already once. You guys saw me the last time. I already had it. I just kind of mocked it up. Of course, I didn't have my dash in. I didn't have the engine in. Well, I did have the engine in, but I didn't have the intake. But yes, this is a big step, and it's going to take some time. Now, with that glue being on there, I don't want to just flip this over right now. So again, we're going to give this a few minutes, okay? We're going to give this a few minutes, and we'll come back in a little bit, and we'll put our chassis to the body, okay? We'll give it about 5 minutes or so, let that glue kind of cure a little bit, and yeah, we'll go from there. So we'll be back in a minute.
1 hour later.
Okay, so we're back, and we're going to put our chassis to our body now. And this is another sort of delicate moment. It's not quite as delicate as the engine, but it is still, you got to get it fit just right. So let's change the camera and we'll see just how hard this is. Flip her over and flip our chassis over. And it basically just goes straight down. We're pretty close anyway. So we got to have it line up with our everything. It's got to line up with our everything, including our firewall has to kind of line up with this, right? Like that. So as you can see with our angle here, see how our firewall has that angle on it? So that's how you have to go in. You got to kind of go in like this with it. If you go straight down, it's not going to work. You see, even the back wall of our interior bucket, it has to kind of slide in like this a little bit. So we'll go, it's a little bit forward, but we're going to go move our way back. There's two little tabs at the very back here that got to tuck underneath our bumper. Okay. So you know you're lined up if those are lining up and going under the bumper. Got to spread the body part a little bit here at the front. So get my fingernail underneath there. Kind of use that as a pry bar, or maybe my tweezers. There we go. Here's my knife. There we go. Again, I don't want the car resting on the windshield, so I don't want to lay it down. There we go. She just kind of fell into place there. These are tucked in. And we're in. Nice and flush all the way along there. Tucked in at the back here. We're done. It is a very nice tight fit everywhere. So you can apply glue in many different spots. And that'll be a nice solid construction. And there we go with our interior in. Looks nice. Okay, we're going to put some glue on this. In a few little spots. That. There. Those spots where I know it's not really going to be seen. Capillary action is going to help out. Not really connecting anywhere on the front here. Not that I can see or feel anyway. I mean, I could squeeze this down onto the hood. You might be able to get away with that. Just kind of hold it here for a minute where it's connecting at the radiator. Hold that for a sec. And maybe here where it's contacting the body. Right there. All these multiple contact points. I mean, if you're not really concerned about it, you could run a bead of glue all the way along the side. I don't really think that's necessary though. I am squeezing just a little bit at the front here to keep contact with the radiator. But that's it. I would like to, I don't want to put a clamp on the front to hold it because it's just a little, even my little clamps are still like, would be a little aggressive, I think. It might be okay. We're just going to do that. We're going to do this, and I want to do the taillights. Before I go, I want to get my taillight assembly ready because that's going to be for next time. Okay. So we'll put this guy here. I showed you guys this before, how I've got this, I've painted the taillight, I don't know what you call this, the bar, and my taillights are glued. I got one side glued in. I want to put in the other side, and then I'm going to get going. Okay. My time is running out. I got to get going. So again, I've got this already pre-painted. There we go. So I want to clean up our edge here on this, where it's going to contact. So I want my lights to fit in there nicely. And you might notice one lens sticks out further than the other. See that? And so you have to keep that in mind when you're installing these. The one that sticks out further goes towards the inside. Okay, so they're opposites of each other. And this guy's going to drop down into here. And it's kind of a tight fit. It is a tight fit in here, so it's kind of like, make sure it's going to fit and then put glue in. So I know now if I push that in there, it's going to be a tight fit. But I want to get some glue in there first. Okay. What really would have been good is if they had it, you know, holes in the back here, and you could literally shove it in there and then glue it from the back. But they didn't do that, so you can't do that. And I don't want to rely just on friction alone to hold them in. I like to have them actually glued in. So a little glue in the back corners there, that's going to be good enough. And once I shove this in here, it'll spread the glue around. Just going like that. Shove that in as hard as we can. Just like that. And there's our taillight assembly. So next time we're going to get these installed. We're going to start working on the rear wing and all that and what's involved with that. Okay, that's going to be step 14. Step 13 is finished now. That's all done. We have a car assembly now, and it's going to be all just the nice tidying up stuff. We got stuff to do with the rear. Okay, they call it the rear grille. Okay, So that part, 14A, is finished. So next time we're going to do 14B. I've got a little bit of detail painting to do around here and stuff like that. So that's going to be next time, guys. Yes, that'll be next time. So I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank you for joining me on this little journey. And I invite you to check out the description box down below and check out my links to my other stuff, like my Twitch channel, my Instagram. I obviously have to get my new my program. It just updated this morning, and it didn't want to go live for some reason. I don't know why, so I'm gonna have to figure that out. So anyway, guys, I want to thank you again for watching, and thanks for supporting me. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment down below too if you feel like it, and see you all in the next one.